Hello friends, welcome to Current Affairs Review. Topic for today's video is the backdrop of the revolt of 1857. The year of 1857 is a landmark in the history of India, when widespread armed revolts occurred in different parts of central and northern India. The revolt of 1857 culminated in the end of the rule of East India Company in India, which now came to be replaced by that of the British Crown. To find out the causes, whether it was merely a case of the Sepoy Mutiny engendered by the issue of Enfield rifles or other political disturbances, we need to understand the origin of it. The Mutiny of Sepoy was undoubtedly one of the crucial aspects of the revolt of 1857. During the mid-18th, the company's government respected and thereby maintained the traditions and customs of the indigenous communities, and the high caste character of the army was deliberately encouraged. The Bengal army primarily consisted of Brahmins, Rajputs, and Bhumidars. The company's government also proved to be attentive to the caste norms of the sepoys, whereby the caste rules, dietary, and travel restrictions of these sections were rigorously respected and maintained by the army administration under the instructions of Warren Hastings. However, certain changes were introduced in the 1820s to curtail some caste privileges and pecuniary benefits to have control over the army administration. These reforms were followed by various acts of resistance. Not only their religious beliefs came to contradict the new service condition, but in addition their salary was dropped and discriminated against in matters of promotion and pension. Even their extra allowance for service outside their own regions came to be abolished. They feared the British conspiracy to convert them into Christianity, which was further aggravated by the presence of missionaries, rumors concerning mixing of cow and pig dust with flour, and lastly Enfield rifles. Enfield rifles, which replaced Brown Bess musket, was rumored to have been greased with cow and pig fat. The annexation of Awadh further contributed to the crisis, as 76,000 sepoys of the Bengal army came from Awadh. As the sepoys had strong links with peasantry, hence they evidently perturbed by the declining conditions of the peasantry in Awadh. The Sepoy Mutiny was accompanied by massive civilian revolt as well. It can be attributed to myriad reasons, for the colonial rule having had differential impact on various sections of the Indian society. Population was heterogeneous and comprised of various elements, which can be broadly divided into two categories, namely, the feudal elements and the peasants. Feudal elements objected the doctrine of lapse introduced by Lord Dalhousie, whereby the adopted sons of the deceased princes were derecognized as the legal heir, leading to the annexation. Kingdoms like Satara, Nagpur, Sambalpur, Baghat, Udaipur, and Jhansi were all annexed. British interference in the traditional system of inheritance culminated the formation of disgruntled feudal lords. The annexation of Awadh in 1856 further triggered the problem. The deposed princes, who had to bear the brunt of the doctrine of lapse, in many cases provided leadership to the rebels in their respective regions and thereby legitimacy to the revolt. Nana Sahib Begum, Hazrat Mahal Khan, Bahadur Khan, and Rani Lakshmibai are among the few leaders who assumed leadership and thereby giving legitimacy to the revolt. The company government new policies highly affected talukdars or the magnates. The summary settlement introduced in Awadh in 1856 resulted in dispossession of powerful talukdars. The settlement was made with the actual occupiers or proprietors of the land in order to enable the company to realize maximum revenue. This was done to ensure popularity among the agricultural population and remove the unwanted middlemen. The talukdars of Awadh incurred huge loss of both status and power in the local society. As Awadh became the hotbed of discontent of the landed aristocrats quickly moved into the villages which they have lost. In fact, they faced no resistance from their erstwhile tenants and happily acknowledged the claims of the lords and joined against their common enemy. The new revenue system affected peasants as well, as they were subjected to inordinately high revenue demands of the state. The summary settlement in Awadh was such that albeit the overall assessment was reduced, but it also witnessed gross overassessment in certain pockets. The peasants were now directly exposed to the problems. Unlike earlier, there ceased to be the guarantee that in times of hardship or crop failure, it would be shared equally in the village, and instead now it was replaced by a large and fixed revenue demand. As a result of all this, the emotional grievance against a foreign power came to be linked with the real bread and butter grievances. The peasants were on the side of rebellion, even where the talukdars in the areas remained loyal to the British. The peasants who rebelled faced the certain risk of being massacred in case they surrendered. Not all talukdars suffered, for in certain areas the proprietary rights circulated among the traditional landed castes. These successful talukdars, who have been described by some historians as the new magnates, succeeded in adjusting to the current situation. Neither did all peasants suffer equally, for those in the fertile and well-irrigated areas managed to withstand the burden of overassessment, unlike the counterparts in the backward regions. In fact, the only common trait binding all layers of the rural society was the suspicion of the British rule allegedly threatening their religion. Download materials for this issue our website. Please like, subscribe and hit the bell icon.